The news did not come from the dark web or an anonymous chat. It surfaced in the most ordinary place inside Google's search results. Hundreds of thousands of conversations with XAI's Grok chatbot suddenly became public, indexable, and one click away. People share links to convenient conversation viewer with friends and without noticing shared those conversations with the entire internet. Among the prompts were instructions for making fentanyl, advice on improvised explosives, and even detailed plan to kill Elon Musk. That exact mix of queries really appeared in search when Forbes reporters began checking what was being indexed. This is Brain in a Jar. Let's dive deep into this hair hole, cause I've already finished with the rabbit ones. The picture came together quickly. Grok's interface had a share button. You pressed it and received a polished public web page of the conversation, perfect for sending to a colleague or a friend. Technically, it felt like share a document, except the document was your chat. OpenAI has a similar feature. I used it once, very cautiously. We will return to this. The detail that changed everything was simple. Those pages were not hidden from search crawlers, so they were trivially discovered and indexed. Public as an available to anyone, with the link quietly morphed into public as an available to anyone who knows how to search. How many conversations ended up outside the walls? Estimates climbed to more than 370,000 dialogues. And it was not only text. In some cases, you could find user-uploaded images on those same pages, along with spreadsheets and other attachments. What people had grown used to calling a private chat with an assistant turned into open web content, with some deeply unpleasant examples. Marketers and black hat search optimizers noticed the indexing immediately and began using public dialogues as cheap landing pages to siphon organic traffic and push their products and services. The technical explanation is down to earth. Any page you can reach without authentication can be indexed if a crawler learns about it or if a public page links to it. After that, the routine kicks in. The search engine adds that address to the index, and the page becomes discoverable through commands like the site operator combined with keywords from the text. The core problem was not clever hacks, but feature design. When share means create a public web page, you must spell out to the user in clear, insistent language that more than the intended recipient may see it. And you must also block those pages from indexing at the technical level. In the Grok case, the safeties were thin or absent. The context did not make the story any nicer. Days earlier, the industry had been discussing a similar phenomenon with ChatGPT, shared links that, at a user's request, could become discoverable by search engines. After the coverage, OpenAI shut down the experiment and openly admitted that the risk of unintended disclosure was too high. The two cases were mirror images with one important difference. In the Grok story, the problematic share button did not lead to a private link. It created a fully public page which opened the gates to indexing. Look closely at that neighboring case. In late July, OpenAI enabled an option where some shared links to ChatGPT conversations could be made visible to search engines. Access did not open by default. First, the user clicked share, then they confirmed the creation of a link. After that, they could tick a box to allow search engines to index it. That was enough for thousands of chat logs to appear in search results. From everyday questions to fragments of resumes and intimate stories that people clearly never planned to publish to the entire planet. The spiciest category was medical queries and medical photos. After the media uproar, OpenAI turned the experiment off. The indexability of public links is the old reality of the web. Google and other search engines do not break in, they index what is reachable. That detail matters for anyone designing AI services. If you turn a private entity into a web page, do not be surprised when the web treats it as public. There is another kind of leak. At the end of January, Researchers at Wiz discovered that the Chinese startup DeepSeek had an open ClickHouse database that required neither a login nor a password. Inside were log streams with chat histories, internal API keys, and backend technical details, adding up to millions of lines. That level of access did not just allow reading, it could potentially allow modification of records, which heightened the risk of privilege escalation inside the infrastructure. The company closed the hole quickly after being notified. Yet the question of who else managed to peek will never have an answer. Within the first 24 hours after Gemini's public launch in February of 2024, users noticed that pages with shared chats were also popping up in search. These cases were a cold shower for the entire industry. While we argue about superintelligent models, the real threat is someone leaving a database in full view. Without iron discipline in secret management and service isolation, any talk of AI safety sounds like a wedding toast. Time for dessert. The company responses. The contents of the leaks were a mixed bag. In the Grok case, you could find drug and explosives instructions, code snippets, discussions of potentially unlawful actions, bits of personal information, and at times uploaded files such as images, spreadsheets, and documents. For a business, this is doubly dangerous. Beyond reputational damage, you are handing a ready-made briefing to competitors. For individuals, the risk is de-anonymization and future phishing attacks where an attacker knows more about you than you think. In the ChatGPT story, OpenAI publicly acknowledged a design-level vulnerability and turned off the experiment with indexable shared links. The company stated plainly that the risk of unintended publication was too high, even if the user had technically opted in. It was a rare moment when a large platform closed holes quickly without denial or blaming a clueless user. XAI found itself in a far more uncomfortable position. Public statements about a priority on privacy and the absence of a sharing feature collided with thousands of pages created by that very feature. After media coverage, some links began disappearing from search results, yet the information trail remains. News articles, archives, mirrors. This is the fundamental curse of such incidents. You cannot unpublish them, you can only try to limit further indexing. DeepSeek shut off access to the database promptly after researchers reached out. Formally, that is the right move. In essence, it does not change the fact that the database lay open for a while and we will never know who else walked those same addresses. That is why security teams keep preaching ruthless automation of external exposure checks. Human discipline is not enough. You need machines that try to find your own weak points every single hour. Dear users, never type into a chatbot anything you would not be ready to see in search results. It is an unpleasant rule of thumb, yet it is honest. That includes forming a habit of checking who can view your shared links in AI services and whether you know how to delete them. If you need to forward a conversation to a colleague, it is safer to save it locally and pass it through controlled channels, not to create a public web page of the dialogue. Only paranoia will save us from disaster, and even that is unlikely. This wave of leaks tells a boring yet frightening story. We are marching toward a world where the AI assistant is the text version of the inner monologue. Do you want your rumination to become readable to the people around you? On the other hand, is that not the real dystopia? Imagine keyword search across someone else's thoughts and streams of consciousness. Sounds neat. The reality will be a heap of fears and neuroses with little useful information. Thanks for watching. Do not forget to support me and subscribe.